Welcome. As you can see, I'm not here. I stayed home with my daughter and I need the rest as well. I'm trying to make this video short, so please go ahead and read the instructions so I don't have to tell you them in the video. So pause, go ahead and read. Make sure you understand the expectations. While you're watching this video, you need to make sure that you're listening it with headphones. You can't just not listen. So let's get started. I'm going to head over to the PowerPoint and we'll go from there. So this video is all about interpreting scatterplots, and here are the answers to your warm-up. Did you get them right? All right, so our objective for today, or before that, let's talk about our video. Oops, I forgot to delete that. You are going to write down your notes on the paper that I've provided, so you need to get this from the guest teacher. It's 3 pages, however, it's just long because I had to put in scatterplots, and those take up space. You must listen to what I say. So there's headphones in the back in the black container over by your notebooks. Pause the video as you need it. I want you to try this alone. Do as much as you can. It's okay if you aren't 100% correct. It's not okay if you don't at least try. So keep in mind, I am going to be calling home for any student that has a negative note on my subplans. All right, our objective for today is I can interpret scatterplots and points on scatterplots. We kind of talked about this at the beginning on Monday, but we kind of went through it kind of fast. So we're going to talk about it some more with a little bit more detail because we're going to get to some hard stuff on Monday. Your personal objective is I can attempt a problem by myself before going over it as a class. We're not going to be going over it as a class, but I will be giving you answers in the video. All right, so as you remember from, hi.
Oh my goodness, I am so sorry.
All right, so sorry about that. I got interrupted by some custodians cleaning up your mess. So make sure that you clean up after yourself. All right, so go back to the vocabulary review. We talked about this on Monday. You should have it in your notes, but I'm going to make you do it again. Why? Because you need to know this vocabulary. So remember, association is a connection or a relationship between two things. We call it association or correlation. And we can have different types of association. So we can have positive association, which is as X increases, Y increases. So they are both going up. What it looks like is the points are going up like a line with a positive slope. So let's go ahead and draw something and of what that should look like. So here's my quadrant, and I just have a lot of points like that are going up. Great. So next we have our negative association. So in this case, as X increases, Y decreases. And what does that look like? The points are going down like in line with a negative slope. We know these things before. So same deal. All right, and finally, we have no association, which means that there's no relationship. What does that look like? It looks like the points are all over the place with no pattern that we can see. So let's sketch one out. Everywhere. I have no idea what this graph is telling me. Oh, it's telling me that there's no relationship. All right, and then as you guys know, that there's another set of associations. So these three go together, and you don't have to draw a box around them. And then we have two more that we use to identify. And that first one is linear association, and then we have nonlinear association. So the definition of linear association are points that follow a straight line. And what does that look like? It just looks like the points kind of look like a straight line. So it could be going up, it could be going down, but they're straight. In the other hand, nonlinear association are points that do not follow a straight line. So what does it look like? They make a curvy line. So maybe it looks like an upside down U or a McDonald's M. All right, so they look all over the place. All right, so obviously that I went through that really fast, so pause as you need. Okay, so there's two more vocabulary words. Again, pause as you need. The first one is a cluster. That definition is that two or more data points that are gathered around a particular value. What it looks like a group of points really close together. So let's draw one out. We have our line, and then we just have a bunch that are right near each other. Remember, I used the analogy of students clustered in the hallway and you can't get around them. And then we have outlier. An outlier does not fit the pattern of data. What does it look like? It looks like a point all by itself. It lies outside of the line of the other points. So here are the other points, and then here is my outlier. It's all by itself. Oops, I should have just done 1 point. Yay. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some analysis. So on your paper, we're on the back side here. So you need to turn the page. So there are some things that got cut off. So make sure that you're paying attention to what's missing on your page. In this case, nothing's missing. It says we have our graph, our scatter plot. The first thing I notice is that the title is basketball shooting. So that's the question that's asking. So I'm going to give you this example, and you're going to have to try one on your own. So it says, what are the scatter plots telling us? What's this graph about? Hint, look at the title. That's basically what I'm writing. Basketball shooting. That's what it's all about. It's about shooting basketballs. And you could write that, shooting basketballs. All right, the second question, or what two things are being compared? Hint, look at the titles of the axes. So we're going to generally start with our x-axis, our shots attempted. So we're comparing shots attempted and shots made. Okay, so if I try to shoot a basketball, that's an attempt. Sometimes it goes in, sometimes it doesn't. So we're trying to see if there's a relationship between those two things. So let's continue with the questions. So what type of association do these scatter plots have? There are two words that I'm looking for in this case. One is that they're going up, right? So it's going to be positive. And then the other is that they kind of go in a straight line. So that means that it's linear. If it's nonlinear, it's going to be pretty obvious. It's going to go in like a curve. All right. Let's continue. The next question is a hidden question on the video. It's because I didn't want to give away the answers. So this question says, what does it mean to have a positive linear association? So in this case, it means that the more, remember we said as x increases, y increases. So the more means increase. The more shots attempted, the more likely it is to go in. Likely they are to be made. We'll say they are made. So the more shots attempted, the more likely they are made. So say over here, I try to attempt like around 10 and I don't make very many. But here I try to attempt like 25 and I make a lot more. So that makes sense when you think about the positive association. It's going up. X increases, Y increases. The more shots attempted, the more likely they're made. All right, let's continue on with the additional questions. We have two more questions. One is we need to identify the outlier. So I'm going to look for the point that lies outside of the other points, and it's all the way over here. And to identify it, I have to write down my ordered pair. So in this case, my X is shots attempted, which would be, this is going up by fives, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, so 35. And my Y, or my shots made, is going to be a little bit under 20, so let's say 17. And then we need to know, are there any clusters? Yes. I can't just say yes. You have it on your paper, so let's circle them. Here is a cluster. Look, they're all next to each other. And I'm going to label it here because I don't want you to get confused between outlier and cluster. Although I think the words kind of, if you understand the background of the words, it makes sense. Okay, so let's try one yourself. So go ahead and pause the video. I want you to try these questions. There are 4 questions total. Pause it, try. Did you pause it? Because you should have. Because I'm about to give the answers. Okay. Don't watch this if you haven't tried it yet. Remember, I'd rather you get it wrong and try than to just write down the answers, because then your learning isn't happening. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't give you guys the answers. We've waited this long. You're like, oh man, is she going to give us the answers? Nope, I'm not. I'm going to see it on your notes when I come back. Psych. Here we go. What's the graph about? It's Ronnie's height over time. So as he grows, right, as he gets older, so what two things are being compared? Excuse me. Age in years and height in inches. Okay. What other questions do we have? We have, what type of association do the Scatterplots have? There are two types. And I'm not going to tell you these. And I'm serious. I'm not going to tell you these. I'm going to check these. Hopefully you got them correct. I'm looking for two types. So remember the two categories. And then this next connection. What connection can you make about the associations you chose? So what's it telling us that he's doing? I'm going to check those two. All right. We have one more question. And this says, this is a different graph. So turn the page. This is on the last page. It says Olympic men's long jump winning distances. So it's telling us the year and the distance, and you have to tell me what type of association this has. Now I'm going to tell you there's only one type, and it's not positive, negative, linear. It's not positive, negative, no association. Because as you guys can see here, it does have a positive association, and then it has a negative association. So we can't say just one. So I'm looking for, is it linear or nonlinear? All right, and then here I want you to identify the outlier on your paper. I want you to draw a circle around it, and then I want you to write the coordinate point. So if you don't know how to do that, make sure that you go back in the video and watch how I did it the first time. So I want you to be aware that these are going up by 0.1. So 8.0, 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, and so on. Okay, so I have one more example to show you, and then you're going to do one on your own. It says, what does the circled data point represent? All right, so I have some instructions here. It says, number one, identify the two things being compared. So I'm going to do that. Notice that it's not on mine either. I cut it off. Oh, okay. So this down here is number of calls. Okay. So we need to identify the two things being compared. Well, number of calls and cost of calls. Okay, now I need to identify the ordered pair of this. So I'm going to find my x. Notice it tells me which one's my x, so it's going to be 60. And my y, in this case, is 6. Okay, so now, number 3, I'm going to label each number with the correct title of the axis. So 60 calls. Where did I get that? I got that from this. I'm not putting number of calls. And then 6, cost of calls. What's my cost of calls in? What's my label? $6. And now I need to write it in a complete sentence. So let me write my sentence. It says, it costs $6 to make 60. And I'm going to add something that I don't expect you guys to. I'm going to say long distance. Long distance calls. Okay? All right, so I did that one. You wrote it on your paper. If you need, you can pause it. And then I want you to do the next slide. So this is your exit ticket. I picked another point, and you need to identify what that point represents in the context of this graph. So remember, This is the number of calls, of long distance calls. Okay. When you do that, you're going to make sure your name is on it. You're going to turn it in on Monday, so don't get rid of it. Actually, I might have told the sub to collect it. I don't remember. So just do what the guest teacher tells you to do. All right. And then finally, oh, look, there we go. It's in my video. Write your name on your notes, because if you don't write your name, you won't get credit. Then you're going to turn the notes into your guest teacher. You're going to get the worksheet number 1 from your guest teacher. This is the pink worksheet. Complete the worksheet. It's homework if you're not done. I'm going to collect it for a grade. And then when you're done with that, you can turn it in. And then you're going to pick up the second packet. The second packet is a bit harder. However, it is more representative of what's going to be on your test next week. So next week we're going to review and we're going to talk about that packet. So go ahead and try it. Again, please behave for the guest teacher. Do not, especially fourth period, don't do what you did yet last time. You do not have free time. You have to work. All right. Thank you all for watching this video and listening. I'm sorry that I'm sniffling and my voice sounds crappy. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. And have a great night. Yes, I'm recording this at 11 p.m. So good night.